So I've had a heap of people ask me what gaming is like on the new 2020 Apple M1 MacBook, and I just wanted to make a quick video showcasing the current experience. So as you can see, this is my current MacBook gaming setup. I have a gaming mouse plugged in with an adapter, the power cable plugged in, charging, and I've also just got a mouse pad next to me. No external monitors, no other keyboards, nothing like that. So in the same spirit as all of my other videos, we're just going to dive straight into it. So the first game I tried was Fortnite. Now, downloading the Epic Games launcher was a bit of a nightmare because it's obviously optimized and meant for x86 platforms, whereas this is an ARM-based machine. So I did have some issues installing it and getting it to load. And even when it has installed, you can see now, if I scroll, it's a horrible experience. It's not very smooth at all. In fact, I don't even think I can scroll. There we go, it's working now. So there's at least almost like a second delay between scrolling. So it's obvious that this app is just not optimized at all. It's obviously still for x86 systems. So if we go into the library, we will open up Fortnite. And while Fortnite loads, I'll just quickly talk about it. Now, spoiler alert, it does work, and it does actually work pretty well. I'll show you exactly how. There are a few trade-offs you need to make, such as lowering the resolution, lowering the FPS, and all that kind of stuff, which I'll show you. But it is very much playable. I've really had no issues with it. Now, I don't personally play Fortnite. I think I've logged about 10 minutes of gameplay in my entire life, so forgive me in advance. But now that we're about to log in, let me show you the settings. And we're going to come up here to the settings. And you can see here the resolution. I have it set to 1280 by 800 in the 16:10 display ratio. I did actually play on 1440 by 900, and that very much was playable. But I wanted to try 1280 to see if I could get closer to 60 FPS. So we'll come down here, we'll check the settings out. Now the auto set quality actually set it to higher, and I'm actually going to set it to medium because I don't really need the best quality. This is a tiny screen, can't really see anything. And one more thing I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to turn motion blur off. I'm going to show FPS. I'm going to allow multi-threaded rendering, and I'm just going to leave that off because we don't need that. Now with these settings, I can actually get a pretty good experience. And as I said before, it is very much playable. So let's come out of here, save them, and we'll search for a game. Now one thing I will mention is it actually takes quite a long time to load and get you into a game. It's definitely quicker on Windows, but again, this is a $1,000 MacBook. So what can you say? Okay, so we're getting about 60 FPS, as you can see up there. You might be able to see it in the video, but you definitely are getting 60 FPS. So we might just jump out now, and I'm going to try to land where no one else is because I'm just going to die straight away if I come up against someone. And generally in Fortnite or just similar battleground games like this, it's pretty laggy when you're dropping down. I know it definitely is in Call of Duty Warzone, so let's see if we can go over here. Again, still sitting at 60 FPS. It's pretty smooth. No issues there. This is pretty good. We'll see if it changes when we get a little bit closer to the ground. Okay, that's working pretty good. Still getting 60 FPS. Okay, even when you're shooting and jumping, still a very solid 60 FPS. This is pretty surprising. Okay, let's try to build something. Okay, that's pretty good. So what we'll do now, let's see if we can bump the resolution up, and we'll turn the FPS down a little bit. Okay, so this is locked at 30 FPS. Now that's definitely worse than before, but still playable. And we're going to go back in, and we're going to bump up the FPS to 60. And okay, wow, that actually works quite well. Not quite as good as the lower resolution, but it's definitely playable. You may not be able to see it in the video, but there really is not much of a delay here. So that was pretty impressive for Fortnite. Like, I really had no issues playing that at all. I'll play it a little bit more in the future and maybe make another video separately just for Fortnite. But as it is at the moment, completely unoptimized for the ARM processors, it runs pretty well, very, very well, especially because this literally does not have a graphics card. It's using integrated graphics. Alright, so as we've just seen, Fortnite works very, very well. Now, what about something from the Steam library? So I've got Steam here, installed it. I have a couple of games. Just before we get into the games though, just like the Epic Game Launcher, Steam itself is very, very laggy and is clearly not optimized at all for the new ARM-based Macs. It's very, very slow to scroll, and there's definitely an input lag. But it's nothing crazy because, I mean, you don't really spend a lot of time in the Steam library anyway. So if we go to my library, there's only 3 games that I've got that are compatible with Mac OS. These 4 here. I've downloaded Counterstrike Global Offensive, CSGO, and also Dying Light. So what we'll try first of all is CSGO, because that's probably one of the most popular games out there, especially on Mac, as it's very, very easy on resources and most machines can actually run it at a relatively high FPS. So let's see if this is going to load. Now I will say I've actually tried CSGO a couple of times and every single time it just hasn't worked. It's always gotten to this particular stage and then it's just stopped at a black screen. I've restarted, I've reinstalled, tried everything, just the same thing. One thing to note is it says up here CSGO_OSX 64. So that to me says that this particular game is only compatible with x64 based Macs. So the ones with the Intel chip. Okay, yeah, so this is definitely not going to work. This is probably the 4th or the 5th time I've tried it. So let's see if we can get out of there. And we'll go force quit. CSGO. Okay, now while that's quitting, I'll just touch on Dying Light. Now, Dying Light is still a pretty popular game. It's about 4 or 5 years old, and surprisingly enough, it does run on this Mac. So we'll launch it up and I'll get into a game and I'll talk a bit more about it. One thing I will mention is that it actually comes up with an error message that says only AMD Radeon GPUs are supported. Graphical issues might occur otherwise. So again, clearly this is optimized solely for the x64 architecture. Alright, so I'll show you first the settings I have for the graphics. So if we go into the video options, you can see the resolution is the same you're using in Fortnite, although it was the second one, the larger one. Full screen on, frame rate cap uncapped, texture quality medium, shadow map size medium, film grain effect, I'll actually turn that off, and the chromatic aberration effect, I'll actually turn that off as well. We don't really need those. Those are just eye candy. So we will save that. And I've actually already started a game because there's just a tutorial level you have to get through that is nothing crazy. So I'll click continue. So as you can see, it is working quite well. I seem to be getting about 60 FPS. Okay, so I've been playing this for a few minutes now and I've really had no issues. Like, it's pretty smooth. There's not really any screen tearing or lag or anything like that. It's obviously not the most comfortable thing to play because obviously the MacBook is metal and your hands are on this, so it gets a bit hot. And also the mouse, it's not really set up properly. And at this point, this MacBook has been gaming for about 45 minutes straight across the various games I've been testing. And it's definitely warm, but it is not hot at all. I can rest my fingers on that and it's not really that uncomfortable at all. It definitely is warm, but it's not hot. Contrast with a MacBook Pro or a previous generation MacBook Air, it'll be boiling hot and the fan would be super loud. And again, this has no fans, so it's dead silent. So let's see if we can get across this crane. And we'll get across to the other side. Oh, I think he's a bit sick at the moment. But as you can see from that initial level, there's no issues at all. We're getting about 60 FPS. And again, this Mac does not have any kind of dedicated GPU. It's just the M1 chip doing absolutely everything, which is insane. So that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. Again, it was very brief. I just wanted to show a few games and show that while they do technically work, there are still a lot of compatibility issues. So if you are interested in a follow-up video in another week or two when some of these things start getting resolved and optimizations are happening and updates take place, do subscribe and comment below what you want me to try, and I'll do my best to incorporate all of it as soon as I can. Apart from that, thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.